Hi, friends. Hey, today's reading I think is going to be more of a personal one for me and for those close to me. Usually when I do these readings, I just do the reading and see what comes of it. It's not usually a reading that I do for me personally in my life. I think maybe if those readings are for you, I think that's a pretty cool thing. If you're watching one of these videos and you feel like, wow, that reading is for you, I think that's really neat. Again, the Spirit will be the one to confirm that to you. And some may ask, well, how can we do a reading into a video and then someone watches the video later on and maybe they're halfway across the world? How can that reading be for them? Well, I guess I would just counter that with saying, why not? Why couldn't it be for them? I'm not one to put limits on God. And I think if we do a reading here today where I'm at and that video finds itself to you in some other place in the world, and as you're watching the reading, you feel like that reading is for you, the Spirit really confirms and speaks to your heart that that's what you needed to hear, then how amazing is that? I think that's absolutely amazing. Amazing use of technology to spread love and light throughout the world. I don't think you need to be sitting directly in front of me or even be in my mind, if you will. Because remember, these cards are not about me. These readings are not about me. The readings are not about the cards. The readings are about the messages of God for you in your life. And I just don't put limits on God. So if God can take a video and send it to someone even years later and it speaks to that person, then that's absolutely amazing. The cards don't have the power. It's the cards delivering a message to you through the Spirit, from God. So today, I think this is a personal one for me. I have a very dear friend who was a friend and a mentor, person who changed my life early on in my life when I was just a youth. And he is nearing the end of this mortal journey. And this is a person who changed the trajectory of my life completely. Now, I don't want to make it sound like I was in a bad trajectory. I had a good life and a good childhood. But sometimes we meet people who just have such an influence on us that is life-changing. And I thought I was going one direction in my life, and this person introduced me into new worlds and new art forms and things I hadn't been exposed to yet as a youth. And those things I knew became my passion, and they became my life. And I have spent so much of my life doing those things, and it was largely because of this great man and his wife as well. And he's nearing the end of this mortal journey. So I think I want to do this card reading in his honor. And if it's for him, her, or for the thousands of other people like me that were affected by this man and this great family, maybe it's for them. So, all right, let's go ahead. Oh, let's just give it one more. Whoops. Give it one more overhand shuffle here. Okay. East, west, north, south, above, below, and within. I apologize, the camera's a little squished today. I'll have to fix that for the next video. All right, East. If we remember East, new beginnings. East is knowledge, it's wisdom, it's clubs, it's the element of air. So recommends things in that light. So again, remember, if a card pops up in its appropriate direction, that gives us a little bit of extra direction in that. So let's take a look. Okay, so we have the Three of Hearts. Now the Three of Hearts. Okay, so the Three of Hearts is the Lover's card, and it represents creativity, indecision, in affection. And I like the way the Three of Clubs represents that, because you have the two hearts and one heart, and these two are facing one direction and this one's facing the opposite direction. So if you remember, twos are about relationships, and threes, they throw that extra piece in the middle that kind of disrupts things. If we have a system going on, now we've thrown something in that disrupts things. So three is in a way kind of a disruptor, and it's called the Lover's card here because love is not always easy, right? Love is difficult. Love can be fun. Love can be full of fear. Right? Love is not always an easy thing to do. It can be creative, or it can be about indecision in affection. So are we choosing this? Are we choosing that? Self-expression of feelings. So this says to me that there might be some new beginning in this world of love. And remember, love isn't always about relationships. Okay, let me rephrase that. It isn't always about a relationship with another person. Love can be a relationship with yourself. So this Lover's card can represent some creativity or some indecision, even in love that we carry within ourselves now. Fun or fear. I think this is a place where a lot of my dear friends that will be mourning this person soon could either see this transition to the next life as a wonderful thing and champion a person who has affected thousands of people, or it could be a fearful situation. It could be a thing where they don't understand the next life, and maybe it's fear for them, and it's loss, and it's grief, and there may be some indecision there, not sure how to go. And remember, they can be both. Grief is just a sign of love. You don't grieve things you don't love. So when we feel grief, especially the loss of a loved one, it's because we loved that person, and now the arms that we used to use to hold that person, to hold that love in our arms, are now empty. And that could represent what this is looking at here, this kind of indecision about how do I express this love, especially that self-expression of the feelings. How do I express that? Do I express that in joy and peace, or in grief, or maybe a combination of the two? Okay, so let's take a look at the West card. Now remember, West represents also sunsets, so sunrises and sunsets, so it can represent something that's coming to a close in our lives. It represents hearts. West, this is, again, love, passion. This is the element of water, very fluid. So let's take a look. Okay. Well, we have an ace. That's an interesting one. So aces are beginning cards, right? An ace represents a beginning. Now, remember, in this system and in many different versions of numerology, all endings are beginnings. It's an eternal cycle that never ends. And so when we have an ending, we also have a beginning. So this is really interesting to me that we have a beginning card in the sunset place and an ending place. Now, the Ace of Clubs, being that it's about knowledge, is a desire for knowledge, the beginning of a new way of thinking. This really is the new beginning card, as all aces are except for the Ace of Spades. And Ace of Spades, in a way, actually is the ultimate beginnings. Ace of Spades often represents death or an ultimate ending. So, interesting. I guess what I'm feeling with that is that the message here is, even though there is an ending coming, as I've talked about, there's a very, very big ending coming. That ending is also a new beginning. The desire for knowledge, the beginning of a new way of thinking, really shifting, for me, what does the worldview look like with my friend no longer in it? That's something I'm struggling with right now, is what does the world look like without my friend? I've never known a world like that without this friend and mentor. So I'm going to have to begin a new way of thinking through this ending. This ending is going to force me into, I'm already pondering it, really. I had a good conversation with him a couple of days ago and told him that I'm not sure what a world looks like without him in it. And that's a new beginning for me. So that's very interesting. Okay, so North is Mother Earth. North is feminine energy. That's the receptive energy. It's the element of Earth, of course. And diamonds is the suit, which represents values. Oh, King. Okay, so King of Hearts. That's interesting. So kings are very powerful cards. Kings and queens, very powerful cards. And boy, this is a beautiful card. The King of Hearts represents the father. This is a very powerful card in the deck. We have the father and the mother, and the father represents ultimate leadership through love and passion. This is a reminder that the heart is greater than the mind, and this is symbolized by the dead king, if you will, the sword going into the mind. It reminds us this is not a time to be thinking or leading with the mind. This is a time to be leading with the heart. The heart is greater than mind. So leadership through love and passion. Now, being that this is in the north place here, there is some receptive energy to that. Now, normally kings are more of a giving energy, the leadership energy, versus the receiving energy and the mastery energy of the queen cards. But I still think that fits love and passion. I think we can receive love and passion and this is the suit of values. This is not the suit of values. This is the location of values. And this is something that I very much value, leadership through love and passion. And in fact, now that I talk that out, this in many, many ways represents my friend. Leadership through love and passion. This is why there are so many people, thousands of people in my place that love this man and his wife, because of both of their leadership, and really specifically his leadership through love and passion. The passion that he has for art has been imbued into literally thousands of people, and what a beautiful card to represent him, because that value has become my value. Leadership through love and passion, leadership through the heart. Obviously there are times that we should lead with the mind. This doesn't mean logic doesn't exist, but it's a good reminder that in this case, that to value that leadership through love and passion. And I definitely value his leadership, and that's a good reminder for me that is something I definitely value. Okay, so here in the south, this is Father Fire. This is the suit of spades. The element of fire, obviously. And this is more masculine energy. And let's take a look. Okay, so we have a 4 of diamonds. Now, 4s, if you remember, are stability cards. Think about the 4 legs of a table. It's nice and stable. So we have clarity, we have peace, things like that come through 4s. And 4 of diamonds represent values. So this is specifically called the law of attraction card. We have clear values, we have clear desires, we get what we want when we know what we want. This represents satisfaction and prosperity, the law of attraction. We attract those things to us that we're putting out. Now, when we put out energies consciously, when we know what we want, we're going to be much more likely to get what we want, versus if we don't know what we want, we're still putting out an energy. We're still going to attract things. It just may be more chaotic. So here, I feel like down here in the south, this may be an opportunity to give some satisfaction and prosperity, some peace, to help others find values, because again, the masculine energy is more of a giving energy. And so maybe that's what that message is here, is that this is a time of transition. And if we can help people remember these things, right? The love, the passion that our friend instilled into all of us, that we could find peace in that. And I do love how these two kind of work together, because the 4 of diamonds are values. And remember, this is representing something that we value, and we value leadership of love and passion. And we can remember that and help others find that and be reminded of that, and to put that out into the universe. And that's what we'll get back. We will find some stability here, some satisfaction, some prosperity. And that doesn't always have to be prosperity in money. Remember that. This is prosperity in all aspects of life. Anything that is valuable to us. That could, if family is something that you value, you will find prosperity and success and value. So I think that, to me, is a giving card. Even though it says the law of attraction, which is what we attract. And can we then give that back out again? Can we bring that to us and then push that back out again in the giving energy, which I think that represents if we have clear values and desires. And I definitely am spending a lot of time pondering the values and the desires that I have learned and that have become my own now because of the influence of other people in my life. So, okay, so far, very good reading. So let's move on to above, below, and within. Remember, above is also the sun. The stars are below, and the moon is within. The sun being a message from God, a gift from God. The stars are kind of an extra clarity onto that gift, a caveat, maybe something to watch out for, something to be reminded of. And then the moon card, remember, the moon represents us. The moon being the only celestial body that can transcend both light and dark, both day and night, right? We don't see the stars during the day, and we don't see the sun at night. But the moon crosses over all of them. That's what our soul is telling us. So let's take a look. Okay, interesting. So a change. I think that makes sense based off of everything we've been talking about. A change in lifestyle. That could be travel, home, business, desire for change even. So remember, 5s, again, are a disruptor. So 4s are stability. We have the 4 table legs. Now, what would happen if you put a fifth leg right in the middle of that table? The chances of all 5 of those being perfectly level, it's pretty slim, right? So that could all of a sudden rock the boat just a little bit, and that's not bad. 5s are change cards. Sometimes we need stability, and sometimes we need change. And God knows what's best for us. Sometimes God says, hey, right now, you need some stability and peace in your life. And then sometimes God says, all right, it's time to change some things up. So change in lifestyle. Now remember, spades represent spirit. They represent spirituality, which can really move into our lifestyle. The way we live our life is really based off of our level of spirituality. So a change in lifestyle makes a lot of sense for me here. Obviously, there's a change coming for many, many people. Many, many people who are going to be missing this individual. And what does that look like? Can we take what we've gained here and now move that on into something bigger and something greater? And change, when it comes from God especially, is always good. Always. Remember, everything, all things for our good. Romans 8:28. God works together all things for the good of those who love him and who are called to the work. And we are all called if we want to be called. So really interesting with this new beginning kind of here. Now, desire for change, I don't know if I could say I actually desire this change. And remember, one card doesn't mean just one specific thing. It can mean a desire for change or just a change. And this is definitely a change. It's definitely a change that's coming. So let's take a look at the star card here, the below card, and see if there's any clarity that we can get on that. Oh, and it's a joker. Okay. I think that's the first time I've actually seen a joker in any of these videos that I've been recording. Well, the joker is unknown. That's what that says. Sometimes things are just too big for us to know all the details, right? That's Proverbs tells us that, reminds us that God's ways are greater than our ways, and sometimes we just can't understand it all. We can't understand it all, and that's very appropriate, I think, for right now. It's very appropriate. I don't fully understand this. I don't understand why a person who is so influential to so many people is being taken. I can't say I understand that. But this reminds me that I don't necessarily need to understand it, that there is a bigger purpose to all of this, and that's pretty powerful for me. And sometimes God can't give us all the answers. There's so many working pieces, so many working parts that our finite minds just cannot understand it all. So I'm just going to have to trust that change is coming and that it's going to be good. So interesting one. Okay, so let's take a look at the within. What's my soul telling me here? Okay, a 9. Wow. If that doesn't fit perfectly. 9s, remember, are endings. 9s are time for things to end, for something to end. It's time for a way of life to end. The death of something old to make way for something new. Now, my friends, I'm going to tell you, that's a very hard card for me to see right now. But it's exactly, I think, what needs to be seen. A time for a way of life to end. The life that I know, the world that I'm comfortable in with this wonderful loved one of mine is ending. It's time for that life to end. Death of something old. And remember, as we just talked about it a few minutes ago, that anytime something ends, it's time for something new to begin. And that's really what this is. Death of something old, making way for something new. What is that new going to be? What is it going to look like in the future without this dear friend of mine and a man who has influenced so many people? So I think I'm going to leave it there. I don't know if I'm going to do any more interpretations with this. I think that is, I don't know if there's a more powerful card that I could have pulled right now for me, for my own internal soul. Reminding me that it is time. It's time to move on. It's time for a way of life to end. Something's ending and making way for something new. And knowing that the way God works, that something new is going to be amazing, even if that is really, really hard to see right now. I love you all. Thanks for joining me today.